Codex is in early access. Go get it. We basically got a fourth of the Crow's core rules. The Beastheart is out. The Magewright class was released. 1 year of the Blacksmith Guild and 7 announced crowdfunders. I'm John Denor, and this is Goblin Points. James continues to work hard on Crows, and this month we got 2 videos and 2 patron posts on Crows. Well, I say 2, but one of the videos was strictly speaking a video about dungeons, not related to Crows specifically, but generally any game that's about dungeon crawling, I guess. But it's very relevant to Crows. But then we got a video on Crows' inventory management and how it's important to the game. In Crows, you have 10 backpack slots, 2 belt slots, 2 hands, and some extra slots for magic items you wear. The items you keep in your belt is always readily available and can be swapped to during combat. The stuff in your backpack, though, is less accessible. To grab something from your backpack, you roll a d10, and you can grab anything from the backpack in a numbered slot equal to the roll or lower. Where you place your stuff in the backpack is going to determine what's easy to grab in a pinch. But the downside is, if you take damage and run out of stamina, of which you have very little, you'll start taking wounds instead, and the wounds occupy slots in your backpack, making you drop whatever items in there. The first Crows post is short, but includes a bunch of the core rules for Crows. They contain some details about the setting of Kornath, the gods of the world, how to play, how to make tests, inventory rules, conditions, how dungeons work, resting, light, combat. James currently imagines that there will be 4 small core books to Crows: the general rules, the ref rules, character options, and dungeons. These are planned to be smaller softcover books and not big tomes like the ones for Draw Steel. And speaking of character options, James also posted some of the rules for character creation on Patreon, the steps to create a character, the 36 character backgrounds, advancement rules, and how to buy traits. Traits is the way you customize and advance your Crow. By spending XP you earn by bringing back riches, you can advance down advancement trees. Each trait in the game is part of a tree, where each has a theme. The one tree included in the post is the alchemy tree. To purchase a trait, it either needs to be a starter trait at the top of the tree, or connected to a trait you already have. If I want the last brew trait, which makes my crafted potions and poisons last longer, I need to take one of the 2 traits that links to it. Either it burns, which make my crafted acid, poisons, and bombs better, or potent potion, which makes my crafted healing potions better. You've seen this in video games, surely. Each of the backgrounds grant you a trait when you create your Crow, which gets you started on one of the trees, but you're not limited to the traits in the tree you started on. You can purchase traits from any tree you wish. James mentioned he wanted to have a public playtest ready before the end of summer. I'm making a guess that the playtest is going to be very close to the launch of the Crow's crowdfunder. Actually, I think the public playtest will be released as part of the crowdfunder. I'll guess we'll see in about 3 months' time. The Codex has been released into early access on Steam. It was supposed to happen on April 6th, but because of some hiccups and with the approval process, it didn't go live until April 8th. But then, it was available for anyone to buy directly on Steam. There's still a lot of work to do in the Codex before it supports all of Draw Steel. All the classes have been implemented all the way up to level 10, and all the monsters in Echelons 1 and 2 are ready, I think. But complications and titles are not done, and there are improvements to be made to some of the user interface. Yeah, we're seeing steady progress though, and part of the goal of launching in early access was to raise more funds for development. and so far, it seems to be a success. Matt mentioned on stream that it's practically doubled MCDM's income for a little while, so as people has rushed to buy the Codex apparently. That peak will probably die down after a little while though, so it's not a permanent boost, I don't think. The end of April also marks the end of the playtest version of the Codex, so if you had the version of the Codex with playtest in its name, it should have stopped working on May 1st. From now on, it's only the version simply called Draw Steel that will work. And if you haven't already, you can either buy it on Steam or in MCDM's shop. Remember that people who purchased the core rules before the beginning of April should have gotten a discount voucher per email. Because the Codex requires all players to purchase a copy to play together, it's not going to fit all groups. But I must say, for me, it's the best way to play Draw Steel Online. I've not tried all the alternatives, but it's the best experience I've had playing any TTRPG online. April also marked the first day as an employee at MCDM for Paul Hughes. They announced the hiring of Paul in March, and Paul is the new line developer for Draw Steel and will be the person in charge of what happens with everything Draw Steel going forwards. Paul has worked with MCDM before, both on Draw Steel and Flea Mortals and Where Evil Lives, and you might know him from his blog called Blog of Holding, or his work on Monstrous Menagerie, Dungeon Delver's Guide, or Battle Zoo Bestiary. Recently, actually, Paul developed the Beastheart, which finally released. It's been in development for the better part of a year, and had one closed playtest and one public playtest, and now it's emerged in its final form. The Beastheart is the pet class for Draw Steel by MCDM. You fight alongside your companion and you act together on the battlefield. In practice, it means that one of you take a main action while the other make a maneuver, but you have a full move action each. And while you have individual stamina, you share recoveries. The class is all about synergies with your companion. They did make some changes that I noted in the final version of the Beastheart. They dropped the Beastheart specific kits, which is fine, and instead opted to encourage use of standard kits. But the biggest letdown, for me personally, is the neutering of the Heart of the Beast ability. That was my favorite ability in the game, bar none. There's no more pulling out of hearts and crawling out of unhinged jaws, just magical jump out of the chest. Playtest Heart of the Beast, I mourn thee. The class did up releasing with 14 companions though, and all of them with custom art, so I guess that's something. Good news is, the Beastheart was released under the Creator license and is already available to use on Forged Steel. MCDM's plan to release new classes under the Creator license once they've made back the cost it took to develop them is apparently working out. For the Beastheart, that cost was already covered by the sales through the Crack the Sun crowdfunder. The Summoner has not yet made his cost back though, so it's still not licensed under the Creator license. Oh, and MCDM is currently looking for an artist to make bespoke token art for use in the Codex. They've put out a call on work with indies. They need to fill some of the gaps in their token art. Not every monster and hero have dedicated art. They want someone who can align closely with their existing style, but the token art will not be as complex as the full art. The contract is for, quote, about a dozen, end quote, tokens, and they expect to pay between $100 and $200 per token. Link is in the link section. Archive Gaming successfully funded Sabotage way back in December and released a finished product at the beginning of April. The main feature of Sabotage is the Saboteur class, a class that specializes in sabotaging the enemy. It is basically a non-magical class using grenades, bombs, and other equipment to do damage. The whole supplement has a 1930s Americana comic book design, and while that shouldn't work in a fantasy setting, I think it does. While the class references modern concepts like flashbang, I think it still works in Draw Steel's high fantasy world where I could easily see it as a magical throwable bomb. In addition to the class, there's new kits, careers, a retainer, complications, sabotage projects, treasure, titles, and stat blocks for rival saboteurs. You can pick up Sabotage for $15 on Archive Games' webshop. Tabletop Nonsenseverse released issue 6 of The Blacksmith's Guild at the beginning of the month. This marks a big occasion for the magazine, as it is a full year of issues of The Blacksmith's Guild. This new issue includes Strategic Sorcerer by Anna Lee, a magical subclass for the Tactician, aimed to bring a taste of a spell sword to the Tactician. I Know a Guy by Alex Klein, a new set of rules to let players create new NPCs on the fly, with some limitations, and it includes 31 sample NPCs. The Journey Conduit Domain by Ben Zedizofos Cornforth, a domain for conduits to represent travel in all its forms, and it has a 5-cost ability that lets you teleport you and an adjacent creature. That's nice. Organized Adversaries by Max Falcon, a collection of thematic monster bands organized into Raiding Party and Dark Cult, and each group comes with a bespoke malice features and monsters from across different monster bands. Respite Adventures by DM Clark. This is a collection of tiny adventures designed to take 15 to 30 minutes to play, something to run for the players that's not interested in doing respite activities. The Blacksmith's Guild is taking pitches from anyone who wants to contribute. See inside the issue for details. You can pick up the Blacksmith's Guild for $11 on Tabletop Nonsenseverse's webshop. Oh, and they've just launched a crowdfunder for issue 7. This will fund both the issue, but also the new adventure path they're starting. Each issue, from 7 through 12, will have a new chapter in an adventure covering the whole of Echelon 2. Tamwin has launched a crowdfunder for a gunslinger class, and at the time of recording, it's already blown past its goal of $2,000. The gunslinger balances their heroic resource, Nerve, with the use of bullets. You track the number of bullets in your gun, and the different gunslinger kits comes with different guns with different ammo capacities, and there's an art to balancing the number of bullets you have in your gun with using your abilities. The preview that's been put up looks amazing, and it looks like there's going to be a ton of art too. You can back the Gunslinger on Backer Kit. Pledges start at $20. The Meddling Raidenwight has released the Magewright, a gadgeteering class. The Magewright uses gadgets and gizmos combined with magic. On the battlefield, they're a solid support class with healing capabilities, and it comes with 4 subclasses. The Automancer, specializing in servitor constructs, Catalyst, specializing in consumable creations, Glider, specializing in buffing their allies, and Magitect, specializing in building gadgets. In addition to the class, the product also includes new retainers and rivals, complications, perks, titles, treasure, and downtime projects. You can pick up the Magewright for $15 on the Meddling Raidenwight's Patreon. Jonas Tintenzer released the College of Infinite Reflections, a subclass for the Shadow. This subclass lets you manifest reflections of yourself from alternate timelines. As an Infinite Reflections Shadow, you manifest the reflections of yourself while in combat, and it has max stamina equal to your recovery value and can be targeted by enemies. You can then use a maneuver to swap places with the reflection to avoid damage. These reflections you manifest are yourself from a different timeline, and in a sidebar, Jonas encourages you to imagine who those alternate selves are. Are they a different ancestry or gender maybe? What makes them different from yourself? In addition to the subclass, you also get new treasures, titles, complications, downtime project, and a retainer. You can pick up the College of Infinite Reflections for $8 on itch. Saber Runner published the Tekar, a dog-like ancestry? It's mentioned in the product description that it's only the beginning of this product and that the price will increase in the future as more material is added. If you purchase the supplement now, you get all the future updates for free. The Tekar includes a full ancestry with 9 purchasable traits, information about the Tekar culture, extra Tekar themed inciting incidents for each of the careers in the core rules, extra Tekar themed features for every class in the core rules and the summoner, and new complications and perks. You can pick up the Tekar for $7 on itch and get future updates for free. RJ Ford has released Apotheosis. This is an adventure for 3 to 6 level 1 heroes. It's set in the world of Orm and features a conflict between 2 regions in the land of Quizia. The adventure opens with a melee between the heroes' party and a rival party, and dependent on the outcome of that melee, the story splits into 2 different story arcs. You can pick up Apotheosis for pay what you want on itch. Archifex has published Belladina's Lightly Cursed Goods, and I think the tagline describes this supplement excellently. 17, somewhat, sketchy magic items and 24 colorful merchants to sell them. Belladina has a list of items she's willing to sell, but only for a certain price, and she's not interested in your wealth score, she says. She'll only take payment in treasure or titles, or as a special offer, a bit of max stamina. And there's also a table to help you generate different merchants from Belladina. A table of descriptions, a table of special offers they can offer, and a location of their store. You can pick up Belladina's Lightly Cursed Goods or pay what you want on itch. Royal Highness Games launched their crowdfunder for Xeric Badlands, containing new monsters and ancestries. There are 2 new ancestries, the Koshan Centaur and the Razak, a porcupine-like ancestry. And you get 4 new monster bands, Koshan Centaurs, Razaks, Thudhorns, massive horned beasts, Thornfeet, an ostrich-like creature, and a level 5 and a level 6 solo. And that's a total of 22 new monsters. You can back Xeric Badlands on BackerKit with pledges starting at $15. Triglav Games announced a crowdfunder for their next big product, Until the Last Villain Dies. They call it a second echelon modular adventure where you hunt down the Dragon Knights that betrayed Good King Omund. Also included in the campaign is Rock's Fall, a collection of dynamic arenas, Upper Worlds Beware, a Timescape starter pack with new ancestries, hits, monsters, and a starter adventure. Murder of Corvinwights, a new crow ancestry, also featuring a new shadow subclass, complications, treasure, a quest, and the Corvinwight monster band. And Grave Matter, a skeleton-focused player option supplement, and a first-level quest. It looks like they're taking the MCDM approach of funding multiple products in one go, basically. You can sign up for updates now, and the campaign launches in the middle of May. JCons has announced their crowdfunder for the Knight class. It's not meant to encapsulate any kind of knight, but a very specific one that excels above the rest. The Knight features a lot of options to tailor your knight, from the fighting stance maneuver, which lets you adjust the way you fight in combat, and the personal heraldry you decide on, which grants different mechanical effects. You get 3 subclasses to choose between: the Arcanist, excelling in combining sword and sorcery, Bannerlord, excelling in leading the charge, and Knave, excelling in manipulation and subterfuge. The crowdfunding campaign for the Knight will be live when this episode releases. Cauldron of Tales has announced a crowdfunder for their Treasures from the Cauldron. This is a collection of 33 level treasures. The collection includes 4 armor treasure, 8 implements, 7 weapons, 3 fracture treasure, in which the hero must find all the pieces of the treasure to utilize its full potential, 8 other treasures that are apparently impossible to categorize, and the Revenant King's Regalia, a set of 3 treasures that grants an extra bonus when worn together. The crowdfunder launches on May 10. And now, some rapid-fire highlights from the community. The deep and comprehensive guides to both the Fury and the Elementalist by Aestus RPG, a collection of Victorian-era items, and the Plainkin Elemental Ancestry by Andy Eichen. Hideout, a Foundry VTT module to manage downtime projects, followers, and more by Cora. From the Ashes by Demas Serban is now implemented in the Codex. The many videos by DM Hub showing how to run minions in the Codex, showing off the new ability editor, the workshop implementing the summoner, and more. Don't Shout Mimic's guide to whether you should play the Beastheart when picking your Drawsteel class. Draw Steel against Strahd, which is a Draw Steel version of Curse of Strahd, with the first part out for free by Emmy. Frederica Tather's videos on how to design good towns, even if you dislike designing towns, how to write good hooks, a complete guide to running Draw Steel online, a video where she shows and explains her decisions as a director, and her experience after running over 100 sessions of Draw Steel. Just Steven Games is launching the Weapons of Legend crowdfunder, a collection of leveled weapons. Jenna Redacted has made more brilliant videos on how to get started implementing homebrew in the Codex and how to set up a map with elevation and lighting in less than 10 minutes. Oh the Humanity, which is the first collection in a planned series of human monsters by Libero. The Reliquaries of Orvab the Handless by Paul Igorsky, aka Heart of Arcana, which is a collection of treasures and the ritual instructions on how to summon Orvab, inspired by Paul's Cave of Amber Tears. Peter Lacara has announced an upcoming crowdfunder for Withering War, an adventure inspired by Red Hand of Doom. Powerword Spill did a short video showing off the Codex. Rise Heroes Rise streamed a one-shot on the day of the Codex launch. They've done a video with the lead developer on the Codex showing off how to make monsters in the Codex, and they did a Draw Steel solo play using the Monster AI module to automate the monsters, and they launched their actual play series of The Dark Heart of the Wood. The first draft of Booklet 2, The Weaver Band by Shadowhand Gaming was released. Tabletop Ghouls, excellent and in-depth videos on how to run good encounters using the Arix and the Werewolf. The full Snakefolk monster battle is done and available to their paying patrons by Triglav Games. Warriors of Draw Steel, which is a collection of fighters by Valued Dragon Design. Your GMJ's guide to get started with the Codex. And last, but very much not least, Z Bashu's animated Draw Steel video featuring Colville himself, where Z animates and narrates an encounter in the Codex. And now, for a new segment I'm calling Blast from the Past. I recently went diving in some of my old notes and found some neat fun facts about the development of Draw Steel. So let me bring you back to April 2024. It's only 2 years ago, but it feels like an age. One of the subjects I covered in April 2024 was the introduction of the 2d10 power roll. Now, MCDM had, after the first backer playtest in December of 2023 and January 2024, figured out that the previous damage mechanic was not working, and they came up with a power roll, 2d6 plus a characteristics, with a 3-tiered outcome. It then became clear that 2d6 did not allow for enough room for bonuses, and James suggested that they move to 2d8. But then Matt said they should just go to 2d10 immediately, because they'd end up there anyway. And by April, they'd been testing the new 2d10 power roll, and it was working. They were wondering about how to do crits though. Rolling 2 10s, a probability of 1%, is too low, and James said they were considering a natural 19 and 20. People seem to remember that those two results yielded a crit better, then they remembered that the natural 11 or 12 was a crit on 2d6, which was a crit at some point in development. So, one of the big news in April 2024 was that the MCDM RPG, because we didn't have the name yet, was now a 2d10 system. How time freaking flies. So, lots and lots of stuff happening. Crows is in full development. The Codex is finally available to all, and there's so much being published by third parties for Draw Steel. There are even more crowdfunders coming up. If you want to be featured on Goblin Points or know of someone else who should be, leave a comment on YouTube or Spotify or send me an email on tips@goblinpoints.com. Links to everything, including this script, can be found in the show notes and on goblinpoints.com. You can support my work by becoming a patron member. Paying members get to submit questions for my upcoming guests here on Goblin Points, and you'll also get access to premium features on Stall. Stall is a digital toolset for playing and running Draw Steel, digital hero sheets, encounter builder, monster lookup, the complete rules text, and more, such as the Stall Supplement Index, a comprehensive list of all supplements being published for Draw Steel in one convenient place. Visit stall.app, STAWL.app. Next episode is on the 15th, and that's going to be the interview with Jenny Redacted. She recently published Space Battles, and by the time this releases, will have dropped her Across the Solar Expanse with more space-themed goodies. See you next time. Snackis.